All right, and just like that, we are back live. It is 11 o'clock, September 8th, mid-70s right now. The sun is shining. It is just a stellar day. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thanks to Barslow Construction, Granite City MMA, Emsley's Floors and Gifts, K&W Tire, Gauthier's Quality Grounds and Maintenance, Fontaine Forestry and Millwork, and, of course, Wright Electric. I'm J.D. Green. You got yourself aired out. Right next to me is a guest that I'm just going to be honest with you, buddy. I have been trying. Let's just start like this. Let's just air this out, Mark Shelton. I've been wanting to have you on this podcast since it started in 2018 , brother.
Well, and I love you,
and you know that
I know,
because we've been texting each other back and forth over the years. Yeah. First of all, can I just ask you a personal question here?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
just start out like this. These sideburns.
These sideburns are real. Yeah.
That's real.
The sideburns are real. Sure. They cost extra money if you glue them on. And my worry is that if I glue them on, I get on stage and I whip my head around, man. I might have a sideburn, be brought to me by an audience member for an autograph later. But
now listen, everybody knows Mark Shelton as the Elvis impersonator.
Wow.
Someone who, and I want to ask you. I mean, obviously, I want to ask you, how did that whole thing start and everything, but we're going to go there. But that's really a huge part of your life. But I think that fair to say there are much larger parts of your life that go along with that. But a lot of people know you as mostly that. Fair to say?
I think so. From an entertainment aspect, people will, anytime they ask me, they go, "Could you do Elvis? Could you do Elvis?" And I do, but I'm all over the place. So I do. Elvis is a piece of the pie. Yeah. And a fun piece of pie, and people dig it, and I'm very, 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 very thankful. But I do gospel all over the place, and I do 50s and 60s and 70s and flower power stuff, and I dress like a hippie, and I'm known in a lot of places in the country as Captain Radical, the Pirate King of Rock and Roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
you have been. Let's talk about where we're going to talk about the inception of all this, but where have you performed as Elvis? You've been on tour boats and just where?
I've all over, Canada and Toronto and Montreal and Ontario, Quebec, all over the Eastern Seaboard.
Hotels,
Myrtle Beach, hotels, resorts, cruise ships, all over Florida, from Key West, everywhere.
Winnipesaukee,
Florida, Lake Winnipesaukee, absolutely. The MS Mount Washington, I love it.
Vegas.
I actually, Vegas, no. But people think Vegas. I wear clothes for Vegas. I know.
Shelton hasn't been to Vegas?
Well, set me up, man.
Say it isn't so.
But I have a lot of friends in Vegas. There's a lot of Elvis guys in Vegas, and eventually, I pray to be able to sing in Vegas sometime, because the very first time I sing in Vegas, it'll be dedicated to my mom, because my mom always told me when I was a kid, you will sing in Vegas. But I've been in L.A. I've sung in L.A., in San Francisco, in Oregon. I've sung just everywhere. I've sung in the Caribbean.
What about Europe?
I not officially, even though when I was in the Army, those Old West kind of kind of things, right?
Yes.
I was in a club.
Bonanza.
And I was the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I was in a club with all my Army buddies, and honest, and this guy puts his hands on our table and says, "So you sing Elvis, right?" And I look up, and there's this big guy, right? And I'm an Army guy, man. I'm military police, in Germany, West Germany at that point, because the Germanys were separated. And I look up, and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing, but he had sideburns in the hair, right? And so he basically threw down the gauntlet, said, "Sing, and we'll compete." And he sang, and then I sang. And
You crushed him.
well, that was it, man. I
It was over.
God blesses me, and people seem to enjoy what I do, so I'm thankful.
You have a remarkable talent. I mean, you're as a performer and entertainer. I mean, it is. You take Elvis for a second out of it completely. I mean, you're really a skilled musician and singer. I mean, it's really impressive.
You're very, very kind. But I think, see, I also did.
Buddy, this isn't kind. This is factual. I mean, everyone who knows you knows this about you, that you just really have a remarkable gift.
I appreciate that. And to God be the glory for all things and all that. And I'm thankful. I always tell people that it's your ears. You know, you hear it in a nice way, and therefore I sound good to you, and I'm thankful. But I was a professional wrestler for a while with Eastern Township Wrestling Association as the Archangel, and I met a lot of people, Andre the Giant included. Did
you meet Andre the Giant?
Well, Andre saw me playing in in a club in Mansonville, Quebec that was owned by Paul and Mad Dog Vachon. And they would have me sing, and I was like 15, 16, 17 years old. And I was sitting at the club one time after my show, and I'm just sitting there drinking, root beer or ginger ale, right? And my back is now covered. Something like a big dinner plate touches my back, and I turn my head.
No.
And right there is Andre the Giant. And his head is leaned over, and he smiles, and he goes, "You sing good." But because Paul and Mad Dog, man, it was Grand Prix wrestling back then, and up in Montreal and all that kind of stuff, and that's where the wrestlers went at the end. They went to Mansonville, and so I got to see a lot of people there. But the long and short of that is there was another guy that was in part of a show that we were doing from the ex-WWF at that point, and his name was Bill Eadie, also known in the NWA for all you wrestlers down in Georgia, North Carolina. He was called Superstar, okay? But in the WWF, he was part of the tag team of Demolition, okay? But he gave me the best advice, and I would tell any entertainer this advice: make it about the audience.
Yeah.
Okay? Make everything you do about the audience, their enjoyment, and because if you go out there and be about yourself, most people do that, and it's okay, and then you're like one of everybody else. But if you really focus on the enjoyment of the audience, which is what I try to do, then they come in and they become invested in the show as well. And so that's the whole thing, to make them have fun and make them, just lead them to wherever they want to be. Music's easy. They love it. You love it. It brings them back memories. Just make it fun.
It's conduit, though, to one's soul.
I hope so. I believe so. That's right. Peace and love, man.
I say that because I have very, very fond memories of when you performed up at Berry Gardens. Mm-hmm. My mom was up there fighting ALS, and by far was in the darkest time of her life, and along with many other residents up there. You stepped into that place and just sucked all the bad air out of the building and injected something that I still don't know what it was, but it's people completely forgot about where they were, why they were there, what was going on, and you took everyone on a giant train and took them back to the old days with your music. And it was really, really profound moment for not only my mom, but all of the other residents that were up there that attended that and watched you perform and listened to you. And the pink scarf that you went and put around my mom's neck, you made her feel like she did back in the days when she was super young, and you brought so much enjoyment long after you left, buddy. I mean, this was residual for quite a while. Do you realize that? Do you know that?
I
fully.
I hear. Well, I have no idea what that means. Okay, but I'm thankful that people have the joy, and I think it's fair to say at this point, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Okay, all these artists that came before us that made this incredible music, that became part of our growing up and your mom's growing up, and to bring that music back into their lives, brings that life back into their hearts, and I'm thankful that I can deliver it in a way that keeps them feeling warm, but it's their hearts that do it. I'm just a guy that sings, but it's their memories and that we just kind of bring up. And I tell musicians that if you want to know, I know this is going to sound so cruel, right? But this is what I believe. If you want to know if you really love the music, go sing in nursing homes. Okay? Go sing when people aren't applauding you. They're just standing there and you don't even know if they're listening to you. Just go do it. And if you're loving what you're doing, and those people will come at the very end and let you know how much they appreciate you. But just do it. Do it for the love of the people, and do it for the love of the music. And then you'll know if your soul is really in the right place, and because that's what happens. People will be brought to that back time. And I have seen people, and I'm telling people, go to these places and reach out to the people, because I have seen people wheeled out that hadn't moved for 3 months. And this isn't about me. This is about the music and what you, a person, can bring to life to people. And watch them, and after a couple songs, you see their foot move, and they're waking up out of, awakening. They're waking, and they're becoming alive again, because music brings that, and you can do that without the applause and without the big numbers, because of the love of people.
Yeah.
And then you will hear stories like you just said, where they'll go, that my father hasn't moved for 6 months.
Yeah.
And you sing something like whatever, Beyond the Sea, or Fly Me to the Moon, or You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog, or whatever.
Right.
It's life, man. We all should bring life to one another wherever it is. But music allows me to the forum to do that, and I'm very, 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 very blessed that people like it. And the other thing about it is, with the pirate kind of stuff and the Elvis kind of stuff, and teenagers and young adults, people, I don't like it. But when they see it, and the young kids, it brings them into that era of fun.
Yeah.
And then they just get into it. And that's the beauty.
I hope when we're done at some point later tonight, you're going to get a chance to go back and read some of these comments. But Sherilyn just said, our dear Carol, JD's mom, adored you, Mark. JD and I can't thank you enough for how you were with her. She felt like the only woman in the room with you. She kept that dang scarf and took it everywhere. And there's a ton of comments coming in, and we encourage folks to continue to post up some comments for Mark. So many questions I have for you that are just popping in my head. Have you been to Graceland?
I have, and I had the great honor. My wife and I went. My bride and I went, and she always looked fine, but I went in a tuxedo.
Did you really?
I did, and on I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but XM Radio, they have the Elvis channel.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman that saw me. He was a DJ, so I got to be interviewed. And they asked, the traditional questions, what'd you like about Graceland and all that kind of stuff. And what I told them was that, and I wasn't doing it as an Elvis tribute artist. I was doing it as an Elvis fan.
Yeah.
Okay. But I just thought I'd honor the guy to wear a tuxedo, right? And what he said, he asked me what I appreciated most, and I said, I really loved all the gold records, and I really loved to see, the humility of the guy, and I love the little firing range that was about 12 feet long, right, and all that kind of stuff. I said, but what impressed me most that people don't know about was how generous that man was. That as many gold records, and he had walls in buildings and buildings of gold records, but he had the equal amount of I gave this much money to this hospital, this much money. And it wasn't I gave, it was more, here's an award for doing this and here's an award for doing this. He gave so much of his income to help other people. And we hear about the Cadillacs, but I'm not talking about the Cadillac. That's all cool. That's just his soul. But he just gave back. And that's what I really, really, really appreciate about the spiritual man that Elvis Presley was, Did
you get a chance to see some of those Cadillacs?
I did, man.
Did you?
Yeah. And the funny about Cadillacs is in Barton Fair a few years ago, they did the Cadillac Parade and got in the Guinness Book of World Records in Orleans County. And I sang during that. So, yeah, I got to see them and his cars and funky cars and outfits and everything, man. That's Graceland, and it's a wonderful tribute to an incredible human being that influences the world and of music and fashion and style in ways that almost 50 years later still is relevant. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
So, do I have this right? Is the skinny version here that you perform Elvis? You've been singing Elvis. You love the music of Elvis, and your wife Lisa basically kind of puts the wrench on you and says, "Look, you have so much talent, Mark. You need to be bringing this to an audience. You need to perform. Please do it for me. Do it." Is that basically kind of how it shook out?
When you're talking about the Elvis and bringing the Elvis thing back, what happened there was I sing gospel all over, and I sang Elvis all over, but I was almost 400 pounds, and I had a big old beard for 33 years. And And Lisa and I were together, and by God,
I love this. I love this story, folks. You got to hear this.
Yeah. And what happened was, and so she and I were doing shows everywhere, and again, we were doing, I did the Caribbean with her, and I was big and leather and Captain Radical, and doing everything, doing Elvis, not in jumpsuits, but just singing the music of Elvis. And Florida was huge. I'd go to Florida and they'd sell out the building, and I'd be this big guy with a beard doing Elvis with a beret on. Okay, so when she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, which was a terminal diagnosis. I asked her, I said, "Baby, what do you want? What do you want to do? Anything you want to do, we're going to do. Do you want to go to Hawaii? Do you want to go to Italy?" Because she's Italian, right? I said, "Anything you want to do, we're going to do. Because though we believe she'd be healed, you still live abundant and don't take a moment for granted." And she said, "Nah, baby, I'm good. I'm happy. But I just regret never seeing you sing Elvis in a jumpsuit." And I gave her a hard time. I said, "How did you never see me sing Elvis in a jumpsuit? I did it all through high school." Well, because she was 3 years older than me. And so when I was starting the Elvis, she was, and I did Elvis in high school, jumpsuit, Mr. Athlete, kind of, everything, the hair, the sideburns. I was the real deal, right?
What high school was this?
This is North Country Union High School.
Up in Newport.
Falcons.
Up in Newport.
That's right. And but she was in college, and then when she got out of college, I went in the Army. So we were just kind of ships passing in the night kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So she never saw that. I said, "Okay, that makes sense. And what I'll do is this." I said, "I will lose all the weight, and I'll grow sideburns, and I'll shave my beard, and I'll get a jumpsuit, and I'll put a band together, and I will do you a concert." And I said, "But I'm going to warn you." Now, this is going to sound arrogant, so everybody please forgive me. I'm not trying to sound arrogant. This is an absolute truth. I said, "When I sing Elvis, things go weird." Okay. And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, You're going to find out." And so in a year, I lost 175 pounds.
What?
Yeah. And
what, 1 year?
1 year. Well, about 11 months, actually. And but I was working out. Like, I'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd work out for 2 hours, and then somewhere in the middle of the day I'd do something, and then in the evening I'd work out a couple more hours, and because I had to do this because time is time, and so I dropped down from like 385 down to 212, and so I lost that, or 210, 212, whatever, and I got my jumpsuit from the same company that made Elvis's, and put a band together of musicians that I know in New England, because I've been in the music scene for a long time. So I got some very, 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 very talented friends that have connections as well, and my buddy, I call him the Professor, Roy DiNocenzo, plays lead guitar, and he's got even more connections because he's been in New England for a long time. So he got a great horn section, and I got the vocalist, Roy. Remember, I got the vocalist.
That's right, Roy.
And
don't forget a Roy.
No, Roy was too cool. Roy is the best, and put people together, man. And we came together and we were rehearsing and doing all kind of stuff, and then we do the show. And there were a couple surprises for Lisa that she didn't know that we were doing. She'd come to rehearsals, but there were some things that we were rehearsing on the side that she didn't know. And favorite songs that I told her I could never do because they were like that kind of song.
Yes.
And so we rented out the Haskell Opera House in Derby Line, because it's the stage is in Canada and the audience is in America, and it's actually very close to our home at that point, like 4 miles away. And so we rented it, and it just sold out instantaneously, and sold out again instantaneously. And the next thing I know, we're down at Dana-Farber, because that's where treatment is, and it's going really, really, really well. And this is about 3 days after the first couple shows, and I'm going to call from CBS and ABC, and they want interviews and they want to do stories. And then we get a call from Fuji Television in Japan, and they want to do documentaries, and next thing we know, we've got all this global attention, and people are sending us articles from New Zealand and from England and from Zambia and from South Africa and from Scotland. All these people are doing all these stories, and even like the National Enquirer, the Globe magazine, we're in there. So, and Lisa's looking at me, and I said, I told you, baby, man, it was going to get weird, right? And then, things started arriving at the house, cups and glasses and all sorts of stuff, and clocks and records. And either way, we did the show. And what she didn't know was that I called her up on stage. She didn't expect that, so people could see her. Because really, my friends, it wasn't about me. It was about her.
Yeah.
And so we call her up. And I sing Surrender, which she loves, an Italian song, And she's just, the pictures are $1 billion. And then a little bit later, I start singing Love Me Tender. And I'm in the white jumpsuit, man. I'm in the Aloha jumpsuit, right? And I'm singing Love Me Tender, and all the pictures of her are coming up. And she never expected that, And the whole thing was just to bring her joy. And then, of course, all that attention was all that attention. And people, the next thing I know, the Hall of Fame's calling me, and they do research, and they find out the things I've done. So it wasn't like a one and done. It was, I've been doing it for a long, long time. And they were very, very, very kind. And Lisa and I went all over the place doing that for several years, until the time came where the traveling just couldn't do it. But she wanted to travel. There were actually people trying to talk her out of traveling with me, and she's like, no, I only want to be in one place. I want to be with that guy, and which makes me the most blessed man in all of history. Because man, you
I
and
do.
And so that's that story. That's that story there, and there are a million stories in those stories, on ships and different places, and she got to see that world. And we went to Graceland together, and she got to see that world. And she actually never knew Elvis's music until she met me, and she liked it. And what we liked, and what she liked, and what I love about Elvis was he was a gospel guy first.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and He got 3 Grammys for gospels, and even in Vegas. And you hear people say, "Well, it's too bad." Stop with it's too bad. We have no understanding on what that man's life was.
Wasn't it gospel, rock, and blues?
Yeah, gospel rock. He's in the Hall of Fame, I think.
All 3.
Gospel. He's in the Gospel Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's in the Country Hall of Fame.
Oh, country.
He's in the Blues Hall of Fame. He's
Forgot
Elvis, man.
He's everywhere. Yeah.
So yeah, and it was, and I met I've done a lot of Elvis shows with dozens and dozens of competitors and stuff like that. The Elvis tribute artist competitions. And seen that kind of world. And
at one point you were within the top 20 in the world.
Yeah, we were considered, if not even more than that. I mean, we're the band, and I was playing with in 2018, 2019 were the band of the year. And so if you're the band of the year, that makes you the band of the year. So 2018, 2019, prior to COVID, we were on fire, and we were playing everywhere, and people knew us, and we just showed up, right?
Yeah.
Just like hello, and it's like, oh my, who are these guys? But the band is hot, and Roy did a really, really great job. I could, Roy and Ed and Chris and
top brass, all of them.
Micah and Johan and Mike and just Gary and Don and just so many, and we had one of the best vocalists, really. Out there, Scott Brunt, and he actually lives in New Hampshire, but he could go anywhere. I mean, he could have been Elvis's bass vocalist. He could hit the floor with that stuff. And
if you're gonna bring your gift of Elvis up on stage, you have to have backing from a band that is equally as good as you are. I mean, you can't do anything half-assed. You've got to have the horns. You have to have the horn section.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is what it is.
We got to, and those guys put it together. Most of the guys are from Southern New England.
Yeah,
which makes rehearsal kind of challenging, but we get there. We did one last time. They came up, and we went down Thornton, and Jerry Dwyer, who was also the sound guy for the Boston Marathon, sound engineer. He's also the sound engineer for the 3 Irish Tenors, is our guy, and he's a great guy. And so we were blessed with a lot of good people. And I mean, I could name all the singers. I don't want anybody to feel bad, left out. I love you all and thank you all. And we're trying to, we're going to be at the Barton Fair this Friday.
This coming Friday night
at 1:00 and 3:00. It's our first show since pre-COVID, and that's only with it's only the five. It's core band, the Jailhouse Rockers. So we'll have the percussion, bass, keys, and lead. Sorry, Roy. But and then me, and so it's a small package. We don't have the horns there, but we'll grow into that. And it's just gonna have a large enough stage for that.
And let's say this before I forget, because I'm gonna. The last time you were up on that stage was not too long ago to help Devaney Choquette.
Amen. Devaney, go with Devaney. We love Devaney. Yeah. And that was. It was raining, so we were singing in the rain, and people were dancing with umbrellas, having a good time.
They didn't care.
But Devaney and
Todd Pronto,
her partner Todd Pronto, partner meaning radio partner.
Yeah.
And
we're all partners.
We're all partners, right? And we love Devaney, and her battle, her journey has been nothing short of incredible inspiration and the strength that she has had to put out there, but and the vulnerability of her journey.
Sure.
She has put out online and it has been incredible, and she's getting better, my understanding, every single day, and we're so proud of her and thankful to God for her recovery.
You let's be honest here. We're gonna have
let's be honest.
We're gonna have laughs. We're gonna shed tears. We're gonna do everything in between. The last couple of years for you have been very turbulent. You've kind of had the trifecta of storms that have all a superstorm, really, which all hit you one punch right after another. And man, I'll tell you, if God has ever put somebody to the test, he certainly has put you to the test, because it has not been sunshine and flowers for you for the last couple of years. You had the loss of your wife, of Lisa. Then you had the loss of your career, of your working career.
Right. Retired.
Retirement.
But kind of, we had to kind of, disappear simply because, the politics involved, and not personal. I loved everybody. Everybody was awesome I worked with, but the state of Vermont was going through some fiscal issues that might have affected people that were potentially retiring in severe ways, which means I had to walk away to protect my pension.
That's it.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
But I love everybody in the state of Vermont. I mean,
of course.
Great people. I've got nothing other than appreciation for the blessing I had there.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, COVID comes in. And as you just said before we turned our cameras on, that took away the music from so many people.
Undercut everything. And any kind of public performances, and certainly massive income for all artists everywhere, and everything that the residual effects of that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Psyches, wallets, and every other way, it took a hit. But I could see that you were actively performing from your living room and connecting in with, engaging with an audience through social media. This was, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this kind of, didn't you vow to Lisa, or didn't she ask you before she passed, please don't give up on performing?
Right.
Please continue to do that, which I think you said, oh, man, really? Do I have to? But
well, the story, and the other thing that was lost, and we won't go into it, but I also lost our homestead.
That's right.
So it was like
you lost your home, your wife,
your
job,
and all
music, performing.
People, yeah, and again,
dude, that's heavy, man.
That's just, but I'm one person, and so many people went through so much stuff, so many storms, with so many people. And that was the one I went through. But there was a lot of people went through a lot of stuff during COVID, and I'm just one guy. But that's what I went through. And what happened was, when Lisa, we never thought that Lisa was going to. We just believed she was going to be in healing. So we never did the medical, what are you going to do if it looks like it's really over kind of thing, because we never considered it. And then on January 1st of 2020, and again, I'll just say this, today is 1 year, 7 months and 1 day, or 610 days since God has called her home. On January 1st of 2020, she started not being able to breathe well. And so we went to the hospital, and I won't go into that story. And they said, you should be okay. Go home and rest, right? And I went home and rested, and then she goes like, I just can't breathe. And I called the hospital, and they're like, well, she needs a rest. That's when I'm bringing her down now, And so we get down there, and her oxygen level is like 62, And now they're like, oh no, right, kind of thing. And they come into me and they go, okay, does she have that, paper of what's going to happen if, her heart stops, her breathing, all that kind of stuff. And I said, no, we never did that. And they go, you need to, right? And it was a terrible scene. And so Lisa and I, right, we always communicated about everything. We talk about everything. So I got the piece of paper, right? I'm like, okay, we got to go over this. And she's like, okay, because we're together and everything's going to be all right, right? And I go, and I skipped the first question because that was a heavy one, right? And I go, right? And she goes, well, what would you do? I said, well, I'll do this. She goes, okay, I'll do that. And then I went through all the questions, and I go, okay, now here's the one I can't answer for you. And she's like, why? I said, well, let me read it to you. And it said, if your heart stops, you want us to just, make you come back or not, right? I'm going to use the CPR. And I go, I can't tell you. And so this might get challenging for me.
Yeah.
And she goes, what do you mean? Why can't you tell me what you would do? I said, because I promised you that I would always fight for your life.
Yeah.
And I have talked to the doctors, and I have talked to the nurses, and I've talked to EMTs and firemen. And you've undergone so much treatment that your bones are brittle. And if they were to do CPR, they're not saying a strong likelihood. They're saying they're going to break your bones, man.
Yeah.
And they're going to puncture, and you're going to be in a lot of pain. And I mean, I want you to fight, but this is going to really, really hurt you. And she goes, I don't want to be in any pain. I go, I know, because she's already in incredible pain.
Huge.
And now, we're looking at, I call it the tempest. Now it's kind of swinging down, and they're like saying 30 minutes or 30 days. They don't know, but figure 30 minutes. And she's like,
this is cancer, by the way,
yeah,
for those of you that
stage 4 lung cancer, and she could barely breathe, but we're together, and so she goes, okay, I'll answer it, but you have to promise me one thing. And I said, what? Well, tell me what you want me to do. And she says, you have to keep singing. I said, I don't know, man. I just sing for you.
Yeah, that's right.
She said, you got to promise me you'll keep singing. And I said, I promise you I'll keep singing. And she goes, I'll sign it. So she signed off on the piece of paper, and 7 terrible days later, the Lord calls her home. And like 20 days after that day, or less than 20 days, I was singing a gospel show down in Key West, and having to give the testimony, which is just insane. It's all a blur.
Yeah. And always will be.
Yeah, but then COVID started hitting, and everybody's locked in, and I'm realizing everybody's locked in. And I know that people are afraid. At least I believe people are afraid, and people are alone, and I know what being alone is, and where it's kind of like, don't compare to Jesus at all, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus lives in us, but and everybody's gone. My son's in Oregon. He can't get out. Nobody can come anywhere, and I'm in this big house, man, 24-room farmhouse alone,
up in the Northeast Kingdom.
And everybody, all I remember every single day was my bride coming down going, how do I look?
Yeah.
And looking beautiful. But nothing. And I'm realizing I have Christ, and the Lord is my strength. And a lot of people are afraid. So how about I just start singing Facebook Live? So I started singing Tuesday nights at 7, just a bunch of whatevers, and Friday nights at...
You're by yourself.
I'm all alone. Friday nights at 7, I'm doing Elvis, and then Sunday mornings at 10, I'm doing gospel. And I'm doing it for an hour and talking to people about not being alone, talking to people about reaching out, and still reach out to people, still be there for people, do things for people, and just kind of be in whatever I am. I'm just singing. And man, I'm telling you, I'm not, there's nothing about me. Some of these songs, man, are hard to sing because they're emotional, and you're just in the memories of everything. But I did that, and I still do it. And it seemed to touch people. And next thing you know, people again, because of Facebook and your connection, it's not like anything I am, right? But people from all over the world are writing in saying thank you, thank you, thank you, and it does help, and other people were doing it. Next thing you saw the whole Facebook, blowing up with other people doing it, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that people help people, and I hope that they continue to do so.
Bro, I just got to be level with you. I mean, that just, that takes an insane amount of strength. I understand you're living up to your promise to Lisa, but to be alone in your home without her and to turn on cameras and microphones and perform after all of this has happened,
or as it's being
as it's happening, is like beyond impressive for me, and I think for most people watching. Tell us and post your comment. We'd love to see it, but I mean that takes something that I don't know that many of us possess.
To God be the glory, and God is our strength. And I'm not just throwing those things out. It's true. God is our strength. That's where it comes from. And our job is to help other people no matter what we're going through. And in our weakness, He is made strong. That kind of stuff. And I don't know what to say other than I praise God that He is faithful, because God is always faithful, forever faithful, and He's always been faithful to me. And
I understand. I get that. But in the same breath, I mean, it just seems like, let's just be blunt here, that it would be easy to take a very hard left turn and go down a road of reclusiveness, alcohol, drugs, pull the blinds down, unplug the phone, lock the door.
Well, that was set before me. That was set before me within the first couple days after Lisa's passing. A dear friend intentionally doing well things, good things, happy things, wants to take care of Mark things, okay? And he came, he said, hey, brother, old friend over 50 years, right? I got something that'll help you get through this. Mm. And I said, no, pal. Okay, there will be nothing that's going to help me through this other than God. There will not be drugs. There will not be alcohol. There will not be food, and there will not be relationships. Okay, there will be God. For the Lord is my strength, and that's who I will get through this, because I don't want to become dependent upon anything in this. This is going to be, and that's before I knew that the world was going to cave completely. And it already had, okay? I mean, Lisa's passing, her transition to heaven, is a beautiful thing. But I miss her dearly.
Dude, there's no way that anyone watching or listening right now could say that Lisa is not just off the charts proud of you. I mean, if she could reunite with you, she would say, "You're doing it. I mean, you're doing it, and you're hanging in there." I mean, wow.
Well,
how could she not be like just incredibly proud? I mean, so many of us here on Earth read the posts that are coming up underneath this podcast right now, and it'll show you.
Sorry,
but she must be so proud of you. You did unplug for a little while, though. You did pull out of Vermont.
I know. Well, the funny part about that, my brother, is this. Okay, because of what I was going through, I kept my locations quiet. So, but on my road trips, the people's houses I stayed at, I still did the shows. And so I would do them, in Chicago. I'd do them in North Carolina. I'd do them in Connecticut. And I'd just do the shows. And I did them in Oregon for a while. I was visiting my son, but with the backdrops that no one knew where I was.
Right.
And yet, I got to walk, the forests, the amazing forests of Oregon. Mind-blowing artwork, living creatures that are the trees and nature, and the shorelines of Oregon, Long Beach and Seaside, and just some incredible spiritual experiences, and walking, seeing the big sky, and going to Sedona and hanging out there and just connecting with the universe, connecting with the sea in Florida, and walking all over the place.
You went down and spent some time in Key West on the beach, right?
I did in Key West, some friends, and one of the first places I did was I rented a place down there for a couple of weeks. That the only thing I could see was if I could see 90 miles, I would have seen Cuba.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Well, God takes care of me, and yet when I say this, friends were, my family is Barry, my son, but what I discovered was that there's a whole community in the Northeast Kingdom, and you, my brother, were my family, and then people were saying, hey, you could stay here, you can stay here, you can stay here. So I was just kind of sliding and thanking the people for letting you can't space.
You can't say me, because I have lost huge touch with you over all of this.
Where are we sitting right now, my brother? All right, so I say you because it's true. And who was I talking to when I was first on the road through the streets of Montreal? When it was snowing, whose voice was on my phone? It was yours. And you were there saying you were there. So I love you, man. I appreciate who you are and what you do, and I'm so happy for your success. And I listen to you and watch you read, and you're in the right place, man. I am so happy for your growth and what's happening to you, brother.
Thank you, my man. So what happened? I mean, you lost your home, you lost your wife, you've lost your job. You're driving across America. You're seeing all these places. Mm-hmm. You're still performing on social media. You're still connecting with your audience and delivering the love of the music, of what you're passionate about, of what you promised Lisa that you would do.
People in love, and focusing people on love and not fear.
But what was the gravitational force field that? Why are you back here in Vermont? You almost didn't leave Sedona, Arizona.
Well, Sedona I wanted to stay, but that's when I got the message that Vermont was going crazy in its political, system, and you better get back to Vermont.
Was there a memo on that? Because last I checked, it's every day. Come on.
Well, the thing is that I have a lot of close friends in high places because I've worked in Vermont for a long time, and they go, you better come back now and take care of some things because you might be behind the 8 ball, and I did. That's why I came back. But then I left again after. But when I came back to Vermont, listen, man, first of all, I don't care what anybody says. Vermont is awesome. And Vermont is heaven. Vermont is so beautiful and so wonderful. It's just cold.
But stupid cold.
Stupid cold is right. But Vermont, I was telling people this is how Vermont works, okay? When the spring comes, you start falling in love with Vermont. You go, oh, my God, this is beautiful. And then summer comes, and you've never met anyone more beautiful in your life than Vermont in the summer. And you're just deeply, passionately, madly in love with this clean air and beautiful water and green and just awesome and the people. And then fall comes and everything explodes and you're like, oh my God, right? Oh. And then the leaves fall off, but then winter and Christmas in Vermont with the snow, it's beautiful. And then January hits and Vermont goes, hello.
Boom.
Now, if you have stuff to do in Vermont, like snowmobile or ski or snowboard and all that kind of stuff, then it's good.
Right.
But if you're just staying there trying to survive, it's cold. It's very, 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 very cold. But Vermont is home. Vermont is heaven, and I love Vermont. I love Vermont. I love everywhere I go. I really, really do. But, when I come back to the kingdom and I see my friends and they're like, hey, man, it's just this home thing, and you love that.
Selfishly, the folks that are watching right now are saying, whew, man, thank God he came back to Vermont. I mean, because you're a gift to so many.
Oh, that's very, 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 very kind. But so is every single person writing, and so everybody in life is a gift to people. Just go be that gift and reach out and love each other. That's the whole thing, man. It's not anything special about me. It's special about all of us. It's our hearts, man.
You said something to me once that was I found so funny. You were limping a little bit. You were walking into a show. You had just had surgery on one of the two knees.
Knee replacement,
A knee replacement. And I'm like, and you're limping into the show with the black and white patent leather shoes and all polished up, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's going on here? I mean, how's this guy gonna pull this off, Mark? And I'm like, Mark, what's the deal, man? I mean, come on, level with me here, bud. How you're in pain, you're limping, and you said to me, yeah, I had the knee replaced, and I'm like, bro, you're doing Elvis. It's not like you can just stand there and not move. And you said to me, my knee actually works better doing Elvis.
Well, you keep it lubricated, man. You limber that bad baby up,
So, did you have both knees done?
Both knees are done, yeah. Yeah.
So, do you have the Elvis? Are the Elvis moves really better with two artificial knees?
Well, two artificial knees, but not the additional COVID weight.
Yeah, well, come on, we've all.
No. They shake, and if they don't shake enough, then the audience member goes, "Man, I want to see those hips shake,"
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, and I tell people I'm from heaven, and I tell people that I'm eternal, okay, because we are.
Sure.
Right? But this body's doing Elvis way after Elvis had already passed.
Yes. Yes.
And but it's all right. We have fun, and people dig it, and I think it's about the spirit.
Yeah.
And the spirit is the spirit of love, and I think that's how we go out, and that's how we operate. Again, I really want to reiterate, and you do too, is that this world, whatever it is, and I'm not talking political exclusively or in general. I'm just talking about fear. Is a tool that's being used everywhere. But love, perfect love, which is Christ, casts out all fear. So if you operate in love towards your friends and your family, then that fear is diminished and you will be victorious, but you have to operate in love.
Huh.
Yeah, that's like how we try to do.
Yeah. I notice every now and then the Elvis lip that comes out.
I know you'd say that.
Tell me. Let's talk about the Elvis lip.
All right.
What was he doing back then? Was he
it was
trying
a sneer?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was. I wasn't there, right? I mean, I just little things, but that those photographs, and you have that like.
Yeah, look at that.
And
not everybody can do that, pal.
Well,
I could do that if I were like electrocuted, but. But not that's a skill. I mean,
that's a skill.
Come on. If you got the voice and you got the sideburns, you got the hair, you got the outfit, you got the shoes, but you don't have the lip, it's over.
Well,
it's not happening.
Well, it helps a little bit, and people like it. And I don't know, man. I think you asked about when I first started Elvis, and what happened was I was in high school at North Country, and I was working at as a backstage hand, and these girls came up and they go, Mark, you look like Elvis. You should go sing an Elvis song for this talent show. I'm like, nah, man, that senior band won't like that. And they're good musicians, and they were just a band. And the girls were like, no, you do it. We'll talk to them. And then they came back and they go, okay, they're going to let you do it.
Well, high school. I mean, what year are we talking about?
We're talking 1978 at this point, right?
All right.
And so the girls got me this white jacket, and they taped tinfoil stars on the white jacket.
Wow.
Right? And so I come out there, and now I'm like a sophomore, junior kind of, right? And these are seniors, a senior band, right?
Wait, did Elvis just pass at this point?
Yeah, like a year prior, 77.
Yeah, 77.
16th, yeah.
All right, continue.
And so they go, oh, Elvis is walking the building, and this band and I never played together, so I figured something simple. And they go, "We want to do it." I said, "Well, let's do Heartbreak Hotel," and for some reason, they knew the key, and they hit the chord. My hair was all wet, right? And it's like, "Well, since my baby left me," and I snapped my head, right?
Yeah.
And my hair straightened right out, and water like slow motion. And I'm telling you the truth, there were like 100 girls. 150 girls, because there was like 1,000 people or 800 people before they moved the seats out, but came screaming to the front of it. No, I'm serious, man. It's the first note I ever hit, right? Screaming. And they were screaming. And this rush went like from the toes to my fingertips to my hair. And I said, man, this is what I want to do, right? And I sang the song, and then I got a call from a guy in Canada, Colony Records, Also had just recorded Paul Vachon singing a few of my favorite things.
Oh, man.
So all those connections started happening and unfolding, and next thing I know, I'm singing all over Canada and being Elvis, man, as a young guy. And then, but being in the 70s, the late 70s, and I'm walking in high school with a pompadour kind of stuff. And it's a little weird. They go, why are you looking like that? I go, well, tonight I'm going to be playing in Montreal, and I had to have my hair styled last night. So
you grow out the sideburns.
Yes, sir.
And what about the hair? Let's talk about the hair. I mean, right now it's not looking too much like Elvis. However, you've had some stylists that have come in. What's the story about that? Because that's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, there's there's a lot of secrets in the industry. Okay, and there's an entire economy based on Elvis Presley. Okay, there is boots and belts and jumpsuits and shirts and hair systems.
Never a wig for you though.
Well, wig's a different story. There are systems. Okay, you gotta use the right word. Hair systems, and they're complete companies. And so most of the Elvis people that you see, and I'd say really good ones. I don't want to say really good ones. Because most of the high level professionals. Okay. They go all out.
They do.
They're actors, and
it's the real deal.
Right. It's just like Broadway.
Very serious.
They will shave their heads.
Yeah. And
they will get a hair system, and they will have it styled, and it's on there, and they're touring the world. So you can't knock them.
No.
And so that, the entire economy and their makeup artists that specialize in making sure your eyes have a little drawn back or your nose is thin. It's a profession.
Sure.
And the rings, these aren't any Elvis rings, but the necklaces and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, there's a whole economy, and they're everywhere you go, everybody loves Elvis, but yeah, there's from the head to toe, you can get completely finished. And yes, I've sat there with people doing my makeup and styling their hair. So I walk out there going, "All right, baby, how you doing?"
Wow. And the outfits that you have.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of those.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Elvis closet at Mark Shelton's house.
Get Elvis out of the closet. Well, I've got a bunch of jumpsuits, and again, it's a profession, so don't look at the numbers scary. Okay, but you can buy jumpsuits on Amazon for $100, or you can go to the core and go down to up in Canada, or you can go over and down in Memphis, and they're $2,500, $2,800, $3,200, and the belts are $400, $500, $600, $700. I mean, and the jumpsuits weigh 25 pounds, and the belts weigh 12 pounds, and
with the rhinestones and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But man, if you're going to do it right, okay, and walk through that door looking where people go, oh my God, and that's what you want. You want that kind of like. Because you bring in that essence. Now you bring yourself in. It all depends on where you want to go. Do you want to be Elvis? And I'm not the be Elvis cat. Okay, I'm Mark singing Elvis, and we're going to have fun. Okay, and I'm going to let you remember who Elvis was. But in the competitions, if Elvis went, oh, you better be doing oh, because they'll mark you.
Yeah.
And if Elvis wore this ring on this pinky during that song, wearing that suit, you better do it. I mean, the competitions are pretty stiff. But the other thing, too, man, everybody's cool. Everybody's cool. It's like the professional wrestling. Everybody I dealt with in professional wrestling was absolutely cool guys.
Yeah.
Just cool, rugged guys. So I've been blessed to be around good artists most of the time. I mean, obviously you deal with people, but that's just the business. But for the most part, everybody's very, 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 very cool.
Have you ever been on stage and you're wearing one of these jumpsuits? You got the white one on with the 400 pounds of rhinestones and the big collar sticking up, and you're sweating like a pig.
Oh yeah.
And you're dying in the heat, and just thinking to yourself, man, I know what Elvis felt like.
Oh, I don't know about that. I like the heat. I don't know what Elvis felt like because, I mean, those people, that boy had charisma that is just second to none. You know, he just had it, whatever he had, and myself included, maybe on top of the list of people that don't qualify with that kind of charisma. Elvis, I've never seen anybody, no matter how good somebody can sing or move or look.
Yeah.
Elvis was Elvis, and here's the thing: you are you, and you are the best you, and no one can compare to you, and don't compete with me, because you can't beat me at being me.
Yeah.
Just go be yourself. Now, Elvis is fun, and we could really do that. And, you know, I mean, people travel around doing Mark Twain and the presidents and stuff like that, and they live it. But, you know, Elvis was a unique gift to the world, just the same as you and I are.
Yeah.
But being on stage, man, I've never been too hot. You know, I can perspire all, you know, and joke around, but I've never ever, you know, I've been in all leather before, and hot lights and dripping water, but nah, man, it's just we're just playing. It's just fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wayne Warner says hello, by the way. He's watching.
I love Wayne. Love you, brother, and happy birthday to your sister Juanita. She just had a birthday, I think yesterday,
Really?
the day before. Yeah.
I got to get Wayne on the podcast. He still hasn't
And Wayne
been on
rocks, man. He just put something out. He's also an author too now.
I know.
I mean, that guy just does it all.
Yeah. I've got his. Have you seen his book? Have you read his book?
I've seen parts of his book. I have not read his book. I was hoping I'd get an autographed copy. But no, we love Wayne, and he's done a lot of good stuff for a lot of people, and he's another guy with a humongous heart.
Sure.
And he does the cruise ships. He does Nashville. The boys. He's the deal, man. We love Wayne.
What's your calendar, your performance calendar, looking like?
Right now I've got Barton Fair on Saturday, and then Friday.
Coming Friday,
and then I got a private thing, and then Sunday I'm doing the national anthem before the Demolition Derby.
Where?
At Barton Fair
At
again.
Barton.
So that's kind of nice. And then I'm headed to Florida next week. I'm driving down to be part of a equestrian therapy. And what they do is they take at-risk horses. They rescue them. They train them to be therapy horses, and then these therapy horses are help to treat people that are victims of human trafficking and trauma. So I'm going to go down and do a benefit concert for them in Tarpon Springs.
Wow.
And then we'll come back up and do some stuff on the way back. And I may stop. I say I may stop in Nashville because I'm working on a project in Nashville right now. And then come back up here, and we got Barrie, Vermont.
Yeah.
On
American Legion.
Yeah, the 10-10, October 10th.
Yep.
Yeah, and some other things that people are saying, Mark, you're forgetting us, but just go to the website or not the website, the
Facebook page.
That's we'll have that. Yeah,
Mark Shelton, easy to find.
Yeah, a picture of my wife and I dressed like pirates, Captain Radical, Lisa DeCristo.
There's no way to miss that. The old Elvis or the young Elvis? Which one do you perform? Which one do you enjoy performing more?
I do them all. I mean, I'm a very, very, very fortunate person, because I can do the voice of Elvis of any era.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just do Elvis. And I think that's what Elvis did. And that's why the competitions are great, and I'm not going to, but Elvis did whatever he felt like at the moment, for whatever song he felt like at the moment, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, and just have fun. And people, again, it's all about the spirit. And I think Elvis operated off a spirit of love, and certainly of the gospel. And he also had a lot of fun, and that's what I try to do. And feel the songs.
Yeah.
Bring out what the emotional intent of the song is, and I try to do that too.
How did he get that 45 into the White House to Nixon?
Because he's Elvis Presley, man.
Bro, I just I can't thank you enough for coming in here.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
I love you to pieces. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've seen you. I have no excuse other than I've been wrapped up in life.
Well, we live this very day, sir. And we don't live in the past. We don't live in the future. This is the very day. And this very day, in this very moment, you and I are sitting together. So we're good.
Yeah, man. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, pal.
Come back soon.
Hope so.
I love that. I love that ring around your neck, my man.
Hey, man. That's it.
Take us out with take us out with a little bit of Elvis talk.
Huh?
Elvis talk.
Elvis talk, not like I can't help falling in love or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, please, if you
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Thank you, everybody. God bless y'all.
Beautiful. Thanks to FGB Theaters, retirementvt.com, two of our presenting sponsors, along with Aeromed Essentials in Montpelier, Vermont Custom Woodworking, the Barry Montpelier Times Argus, Donnybrook Fight Promotion. Thank you all for tuning in and enjoying Mark Shelton in the Aired Out Podcast studio today. Seen and heard live from North Main Street in Barry, Vermont. If you like the podcast, at the very least, give us a thumbs up. Give a like, click, follow the page, comment, please. You can still post up your comments and share away. Mark Shelton, God bless him, and thank you for coming in, my friend. I can't wait until you're back, and we will see you at the American Legion October 10th right here in the Granite City.